So this is the preview for the March 19th balance update. So these are the changes. Now, they've disabled the Relic of Lear, and the only other change to Relic was the Relic of Fireworks. They just fixed an issue. That for some reason a projectile skill or some projectile skills were not triggering it. So that's getting fixed. There's a lot of fixes actually coming up. So Ellie, I'm not going to read all of this, but because it would take too long. But let me give you the rundown of Ellie. Ellie DPS in large scale zerging, or even like 25 versus 25 or GVG. Ellie DPS is not going to be a thing. If you see a Tempest playing DPS, he's trolling, and this patch is not going to make any difference. Ellie is still not going to be better than some of the DPS we've already got, which is not many. It is padding. Some classes pad worse than this. It's probably one of the better pad classes. If I was to make an S tier list, this wouldn't be in it. But if I was to make an A tier list, this probably would make the A tier list. I know my tier list we did a little while ago was a bit troll because I only did like an S tier list, and the rest of it I just said no, go down a B tier because I didn't want people playing it. But if you were going to be realistic about it, this is probably A tier. Kata, Boom Kata with some damage. Tempest with some damage. But these changes, some of them are pretty interesting. The pistols are coming out soon. Like all the weapons, the new weapons are coming out soon. I'm sure that eventually I will get around to playing some Cancer Celestial pistol build. But I'm not sure about these changes. They're making some weird changes to like Arcane Wave with a leap. They're buffing some coefficiency on it. I mean, they're trying to make Tempest viable as a support by increasing radiuses of Wash the Pain Away. But then they're getting rid of the Alacrity. It makes no sense to me. I don't know why they nerfed this. They've nerfed basically, before I go through the rest of it, I'll just tell you, this patch is full of nerfs to Alac. So if you were thinking you're going to nerf Scourge and keep nerfing Scourge to have like some sort of replacement for Scourge, well, the replacement could have been Tempest. But you keep nerfing Tempest as well, so it's very strange. Also, this whole patch was basically to nerf the Boon Ball and try and make the game more viable for other classes other than the 4 that we've got. Or the 5 that we've got, but it really didn't do that. They nerfed across the board all of the shit, like all of the condition cleanse. They nerfed all the boons. Well, they nerfed the boon duration and the cooldowns, but they also nerfed boon rip. So it's really strange. The boon ball is basically staying, but it just won't last as long. So the fights that we have won't last as long. Basically, I'm pretty sure. Engineer updates again. It's another class that is meta for DPS. It's not changing. It's not getting nerfed. Hollowsmith is still S tier. And when it comes to Engineer being in the mix for support, we're getting Shortbow. Shortbow's getting buffed and changed. Will it be replacing Heal Vindicator or Druid? I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll test it. There's some interesting changes to Bunker Down. Disabling enemy triggers the mine at the enemy's location instead of the player. So some ranged CC can have some pretty good effect. Dragon Banner maybe wielded with this Bunker Down trait could be pretty strong. Medkit's getting us some changes, but I don't think it's going to be, as good as the heals that come out of. Basically, you're going to need like some fucking drugs if you think Engineer is going to be as good as Heal Vindicator. There's a lot of PvE and PvP changes, which I'm not going to go over. I don't care. Guardians get some interesting changes, and because of all of the nerfs to boons and stuff and duration, Firebrand's still a very good option for like a support, for boon support. This is nice change. Zealot's Defense, you can move while using it, which is Sword 3, Projectile Hate. Very, very nice. Some changes to Glacial Heart, still called Glacial Heart, even though it's not going to chill anymore. It's going to heal the user. Weird change. I don't know why they're changing that. Some quality of life changes. Wheelbender's getting some Stomp, Evade, and finish your target foe if they are downed, and no other enemies are nearby. That sounds really weird. That last bit is kind of troll. Like it was good until that bit at the end. It had potential up until that bit at the end. No other enemies about. Well, let's hope there's no other enemies about, boys. We have to see. I mean, that's an elite as well. It's an elite. I mean, Virtuoso, DPS Virtuoso, and some range classes didn't get nerfed. So if you're running around with that on, you're fucking easy target. You're dead. So I don't know how good that might be good for roaming maybe or something. But if you have no renewed focus, I really don't think that's, I think that's troll. You might be able to play some cheese shit like this outside of Stone Mist and then run back inside Stone Mist and go, hee hee, I'm still alive. Caught with this, that's basically your pants are down. This should be called your pants are down. Anyway, Deathless Courage is getting changed. Now, we're not 100% sure what's happening with this, but at the moment, Willbender DPS isn't really popping off, but it might be, again, another A tier DPS, not S tier. And this currently basically stops you from dying. You still take damage, basically get to like 1 HP. So basically when you press your F3, you get like Deathless Courage. Now you can have Aegis while you have it, which means that when you're attacking, you're going to get a lot of Aegis, which is pretty good for survivability. You're still going to get reduced duration, and you're still going to get the increased duration when you kill enemies. And also, instead of now being unable to be killed, I believe this is how it's going to work. You're not going to be like 1 HP. You're going to be, well, you're going to have Aegis, so you probably won't take damage. But if you do manage to take damage, you're also going to get this effect here, where Guardian strike damage and condition damage reduction while Courage is active. So you won't have to panic too much. Merciful intervention back to your group, or like forced to use cooldowns to get back to your tag. So you can kind of like play very aggressive with this. You can be playing on the tag and you can survive probably way better, because that 1 HP that you get to, it isn't always going to be great, because you then got to get resustain, and sometimes you just don't resustain. So it's going to put less pressure on your supports. Willbender DPS might be viable. But yeah, DH is still good. A tier, maybe even S tier, depending on the enemy. Depends on the playstyle of a commander. But if you've got DPS DH and the enemy's not pushing and you have range strips and pulls, DH is very, very good. Commanding on DH is very good. That's not changing. Leading on DH is very, very good. Support DH. Core Guardian DPS fine, A tier probably, paddy a little bit, but you can definitely pop off with some big mighty blows. And if you've got Weaponsmith, you can also play Longbow if you wanted to. Guardian's still good for some hybrid shit. You can still play Selly Firebrand, that's not getting nerfed. Selly Firebrand's still good.
Can you do us all a favor and stop dying?
Obviously you can still play Support Guardian as well, Support Firebrand. Mesmer's getting a lot of changes with the next patch. Nullfield's getting reduced by half. We hate to see it, don't we? So reduced cleansing, reduced strips, less boons, less duration. It cancels itself out a little bit, and the meta stays very similar. However big your squad is, 25 or 50, you're still going to have a lot of nullfields. If you've got Chrono with the F5 combo, you're still going to place lots of nullfields. You can even use Mimic with nullfield, so you can double it up. You know, you're still going to have a lot of nullfields. You're going to basically rip the entire boon bar when you use this with the other Mesmers, and that's not even on top of other skills. So it's still very strong. It's not going to change. You're not going to swap it out for anything. Mantra of Concentration, they can increase the cooldown. It's fine. You're still going to use this. It's a lot of stab, and it's on an instant cast skill once you charge it. Power Break is still going to be best in slot. They're nerfing the Chaos Aura duration by half. You're still personally going to probably get the full duration of Chaos Aura, but your teammates won't. But that just means that you just got to press it at the right time. It means that you can't spam it as much as you have been doing it. But there might be some plays, like I said earlier, there may be some plays where you can get more Chaos Aura with Mirage leaps if you decide to play Mirage, but I don't think so. I think you automatically just play... Once you see the next couple of changes in Mirage, you'll see why you don't play Mirage anymore. At least the support side of things. Even if they change Temporal and Chowder, they no longer increase the duration. It's still good, still best in slot. The synergy with the traits is still really good. Well, if Precognition is being buffed, but I don't think you pick this over anything. I really don't see this being... It's not a stun break for your allies. It's stability, 3 stacks of stab. For 5 seconds, it's a 45-second cooldown. Yes, it gives Aegis. Yes, it's going to give endurance. But I don't think so, boys. Cast time, half a second? Nah. Cast time's way too long as well. This is the big one. June Cloak's getting nerfed. You're going to gain Mirage Cloak when you shatter 2 or more clones. It's getting destroyed, so no longer you're going to have that boon strip. So support Mirage is dead. Pretty much, boys. It's gone. So you can play it for another couple of weeks. And Virtuoso's getting... some small change. This trait now refunds blades after casting a blade song skill with 5 blades, which is kind of nice. Infinite Forge. It's kind of nice, but you don't pick it. The reason you don't pick it, well, it's a Grandmaster trait. So that's why you don't pick it. You don't pick this one, man. You pick the unblockable. Blocking or evading attacks stocks blades. Dodging stocks a blade and causes your next blade song to be unblockable. You can't play that, dude. It has to be still this. So again, another big class that's like S tier is Scourge, support Scourge. They've been nerfing it over the years. Keep nerfing it. They reverted some changes. They've nerfed it again. Nerf, revert. Well, again, more nerfs, boys. Some changes to some signets and stuff might be good for small scale. But the big one is here. Serpent Siphon. Increase the cooldown of it by 10 seconds. That's massive. And that's giving Barrier and Cleanse, Aegis, Regen. It's kind of big combined with all the synergy from the traits. It's kind of a big skill to use, and that's getting nerfed. So yeah, Sandstorm Shroud increasing the cooldown again, which is Boon Rip, Barrier, Boons, and synergy with traits. Sand Cascade increase the cooldown, and again another nerf. And then this is the big one. Desert Empowerment's getting a huge nerf. This trait now grants Vigor instead of Alacrity. So that's a massive nerf. No Alac anymore. So you're gonna have to rely on Chronomancer for Alacrity. Or Mirage if you use Alac on Mirage. I don't think you will though in terms of 25 versus 25 or 50 versus 50 or GVG or something. I don't think you bring Willbender for Alacrity. I don't think so. Tempest obviously lost its Alac as well. And you'll find out soon that also Druid is losing Alac. So Chronomancer is still cracked, boys. Instead of playing Quickness on Shadow, you're going to play Alac. Renegade is definitely going to be in the mix, I think. Yeah, Renegade will be. We'll talk about that in a bit when we get to it. But definitely Renegade looks like it could be a good play with the changes to Kala. We'll see how that plays. Definitely, it's always been like that option, like Chronomancer or Renegade. And Renegade got nerfed. The Mali strips got nerfed. Then they put a cooldown on Banish Enchantment as well. And then they nerfed some dwarf stuff as well. Started nerfing some traits. And Chrono got buffed. And then, yeah, it's pretty good. Chrono's pretty good. But now with a slight nerfs to Chrono, maybe a little bit of buff here and there for the Renegade, might bring Rennie back into like an option for playing some Boon Bot CC Boon Rip, maybe? Possibly. Demon Stance and Kala, maybe? Harbinger's getting trait rework. Some protection instead of whatever the fuck it was. Some damage modifiers for PvE. I don't know. Not really interesting stuff here for Harbinger. So as you can see, the ranges changes. The big one here, big nerf here is Healing Spring. Yes, the interval is now 1 second instead of 2 second pulse, and which compensates for the duration nerf by 50%. But they've also nerfed the cleanse, so it's only 1 condi every second. So that's 5 condis. So there's a lot of cleanse nerf if you're playing Healing Spring. Honestly, I kind of like the glyph heal for big burst heals anyway. So it all depends on what your party needs. Maybe you play Healing Spring, but if you can play the other heal, it's pretty good, honestly. Just depends on what traits you're playing as well. If your party can sustain, if you have enough cleanse. If you don't have enough cleanse, then Healing Spring will still be the play. And here we go. Here's the big nerf to Druid. This trait now applies Might instead of Alacrity. Another huge nerf. And they've nerfed Glyph of Stars as well, the Elite. Increased the cooldown of this skill to 60 seconds and reduced the number of conditions cleansed again from 2 to 1. And they've also nerfed the Revival. So if you were using this before, it was crazy good. Crazy good. Now it's getting nerfed. Will Spirit Elite be better than this now? Spirit Elite is very good. But will this be still played? It probably will still be played. But again, Spirit Elite might be a good option if you can deal with the condis. A decent revive, and obviously with a trait you can get the spirit to revive twice. And all spirits actually land twice. So you're playing the spirit with the resistance as well. So like you could just ditch this altogether. But remember, this isn't just that. These things we're talking about. There's also the fact that it grants stability as well. So has a lot of utility with that. 60-second cooldown, boys, and a nerf with a lack. That's going to hurt, man. That's going to hurt. So Scourge, Druid, those guys will need to be put in parties with Chrono now for the alacrity on Shadow, 100%. And if there's any other Renegades, maybe, then they go in the party with Renegades as well with the alacrity. Revenant's getting an interesting change with Hammer. I'm looking forward to this. You can now basically have double Coalescence of Ruin. Drop the Hammer. Has a shorter casting time to summon the Hammer, which still strikes after a day. This skill now also recharges if it hits. So if it hits, you get double, you get recharge of... So there could be some like combo potential. But with the current meta, I still don't see it being that amazing. But we'll see if DPS Vindicator can actually drop the Hammer and start popping off with some damage. We'll see how reliable that is. Big nerf to Energy Expulsion, which is the elite on Legendary Centaur tablet. They lowered the stability duration and increased the cooldown to 15 seconds from 2 seconds. Obviously, that's nerfed. So you can't just sit back and just like spam the shit out of this. So Renegade may be new option instead of Chrono when it comes to giving boons. So you can see here that they've no longer targetable summons. So they don't die. Your spirits don't die. Your warband things that you spawn from Kala, they don't die anymore. Soul Cleave is like basically a 1 second internal cooldown. Ignores armor. It's a leeching damage and leeching heal from your skills. And they've reduced the cast time by it. And they've also reduced the energy cost and the upkeep. And also it will strike nearby enemies and heal whenever another warband member is summoned. But obviously you can't summon that many warband members. So that's not going to be massive. But we don't know what the strike damage is going to be and the heals are going to be. But it's probably not going to be a lot, I imagine. But the fact that this won't die now. Can it get interrupted, though? That is my question. If you can't target it, I'm guessing it can't even interrupt it. So basically, these will always work. This could be insane burst and sustain. Yeah, only 5 targets, but I can imagine if you're using this and spamming this, we might see lag in World vs. World. We might see crazy lag because if this could be phantasms all over again. It's a pretty big range. Pretty good. Firefield. Not bad at all. And the other changes are a lot of boons. Resolution. Lots of boons. Lots of resolution. Some barrier. We don't know the numbers yet on this. Protection. Daze enemy. Resistance. You see here this skill grants resistance to nearby allies when enhanced. But then they perform a new skill. Activating these skills also triggers band together. Your next legendary skill activates instantly and is enhanced. Yeah, Renegade gives alacrity, obviously, with the F skill. Combine it with all of this stuff. We don't see the numbers, but this could be good. With the fact that you can't kill these spirits or summons. The bleeding here, I don't know. Ice Razor's Ire, I don't know if this is going to be any good. Some projectiles, I don't think projectiles are going to be good. You're going to mob your own teammates, so you probably won't want to use that one. But now think about this on top of the trait Brutality. And if these start hitting and they proc Brutality, it means ripping stability. So this could be a replacement for the current OP June Cloak Mirage support boon strip build that's ripping stability. Nerf to Vindicator boons a little bit. Thief gets some buffs with some rifle. Double tap and 3-round burst gets piercing. Some buff to Tactical Strike and Larcenous Strike. I'm really surprised that they did that. Shadow Portal no longer stun breaks. That's a big one. Fix some stuff in PvE. They fix some traits. Gain might when dodging. Restore initiative when you dodge, in addition to what it already does, which is basically regen initiative when you evade. So that's kind of a lot of buffs there. Will we see Thief change in large scale? Are you going to see support Spectre or support anything from Thief? Are you going to see DPS? Staff, Thief, Daredevil still strong. Spectre, I still don't think it's in the mix. I don't know. I would have to see some footage and have to see some God Gamer play it. Maybe support Spectre can be okay. Maybe a DPS hybrid version can be okay. I don't think so though. There's just too many classes and specs that can do better. We didn't see really any massive changes to Warrior. There's some weird changes like Wild Blows getting a daze instead of a knockdown, and it's unblockable, and then increasing the coefficiency. I really don't see that being very good for large scale. Final Thrust is getting some buffs, like it's already doing big damage, but I don't know why you would play Sword. Like realistically, you're not going to play support Spellbreaker over any other support. So what do you replace then? You're replacing Chrono? Wait, no, I don't think you're replacing Chrono with this. Like, what are you gonna? What is this? I still think you place DPS Spellbreaker. I don't think you pick Sword, but if you need extra mobility, you could play Sword Axe, I guess. And if you're desperate and you don't have a party with support, I guess you play support Spellbreaker. You're not going to re-queue, right? People aren't going to like go, oh shit, well, that means a 25-man queue. Let me relog on my healer. Like by the time you get back in, your comms tagged off, probably. Rush is getting a fix finally. We'll see if that's actually fixed. But not really massive changes. The Warrior, they completely ignored the fact that Spellbreaker could fix the meta with Boon Rip. They didn't buff or re-enable moving bubble or extra Boon Rip on bubble or break enchantments buff or even Sigil of Absorption buff or something. So I think the meta is going to stay the same. Maybe some very small changes here and there, but that's what we've got to either look forward to or not look forward to in the next balance, boys. If I've missed anything, let me know. That's pretty much all the changes.